Hi, and welcome to the Gooru website walkthrough. In this video, we'll explore how you can use Gooru to assign engaging digital lessons to your students. You may wish to follow along by visiting www.gurulearning.org in a different browser window. Feel free to pause this video at any point and try out the actions that I show you. Let's get started. Today, I'll show you how to customize a collection for your students. If you've never seen a collection before, you can think of it as a list of web resources, curated and enriched by a teacher. Collections can be used as teaching hooks, enrichment activities, homework, or as a primary instruction activity. Really, wherever you want to inject some engagement and interactivity into your classroom. Guru's community of educators has already created over 40,000 collections, many aligned to Common Core state standards, so there's no reason we need to start from scratch. The best of these collections are featured in our community library. Before we go any further, let's take a look at one example of a finished collection so we know what we're working towards. As you can see, a collection combines different web resources with custom narration, documents, and quiz questions to make all these web pages into a single learning experience. A great collection is worth more than the sum of its parts. It's a personalized digital lesson. Let's exit this collection and return to the Gooru homepage. Any of the collections in the community library can be copied and customized to work in your classroom, and that's exactly what I'll be doing today. Before you go any further, make sure that you're signed into your Gooru account. If you haven't signed up for a free Gooru account yet, now would be a good time to do so. And if you already have, welcome to the Gooru community of educators. There are 3 steps to making a collection, and in the rest of this video, we'll walk through each of these steps. In the first part of the video, I'll show you how to discover great collections and even create your own. Next, we'll talk about how we can organize and customize our collections to turn them into beautiful, personalized learning experiences. Finally, I'll show you how you can post your collection to a class homepage when you're ready to teach your students. Let's get started. As I mentioned earlier, the best collections on Gooru are organized into what we call our community library. You can browse the community library with the drop-down menus at the top of the screen. We've organized our collections into 28 different courses, which span most of the core K-12 curriculum. Each course contains a few hundred collections. I'm kicking off my cell unit next week, so I'm going to start by finding a collection that introduces the structure and function of the cell. I'm going to check out this life science course and have a look around. Feel free to browse the library for a collection that matches what you'll be teaching this week. If after looking around you can't find anything in the library that supports your lesson, stick with me for a little bit longer. This collection, Enter the Cell, looks like it might be a good choice. I can see that it's been aligned to a California state science standard. If I click on the collection, I can peek inside. This looks like it would support my lesson. If I'm ready to send this collection to my students right away, I can simply click the Assign button. This gives me the choice to share this link via email, social media, or a learning management system. However, I'd like to personalize this collection a bit more before I send it to my students. To do so, I just click on the Customize button. This makes a copy of the collection for me that I can edit. I'm taken to the Organize page, where I can begin customizing this collection. Before I use any of the functions in the Organize page, however, I'm going to take a half step backwards and search for a few additional resources to add to this collection. We'll return to the Organize page in just a moment once we've found enough resources. You may have already noticed the Gooru search bar in the upper left corner. If you'd like to discover more resources or collections, the search bar is a great tool to use. I'm going to enter the search term cell organelles. This takes me to a search results page, where I can see all of the resources in Gooru that teach about cell organelles. I can narrow my search with these filters on the left. Let's just see the videos related to cell organelles. Or switch to searching for collections by clicking on this Collections button. I can preview any resources or collections by clicking on them, and save anything by dragging it over to the right over the collection where I'd like to save it. I can even start a new collection by dragging it over this button at the top of the page. If you are unable to find a collection for your classroom during the first part of this video, you may want to spend more time exploring the search option. For now, let's just save this video into my collection. And that brings us to the end of our first step, discover. So far, we've explored the community library, found a collection that we'd like to customize, and added in a few additional resources. If you're following along on your computer, now would be a good time to pause this video and try these steps out for yourself. Okay, now it's time to polish my lesson. To continue on to the next step, we'll hover over our collection and click Edit. Notice how this takes us back to the Organize page. Remember how we talked about personalizing this collection for my students? This is where I transform this collection from a list of resources into a tailored learning experience. I have a lot of tools that I can use to personalize this collection. At the top of this page is my collection information. This is where you can edit the images and text that appear on the front of your collection. Think of this as the cover page of your collection. You might want to add learning objectives into the collection description field. Down here, I can edit my resources. By dragging and dropping individual resources, I can rearrange the order. I think I want to kick this collection off with a video. I can add text narration to my resources. These instructions will show up when my students explore my collection. If this is a video, I can also edit the start and stop times. Finally, I can add even more resources to my collection. If I know of a great YouTube video that would fit really well into this collection, I can just paste the URL right here. I can also upload documents or images, and even write my own interactive quiz questions. Okay, now my collection is really ready to go. All that's left to do is share my collection with my students. So let's open up the Share tab. At this point, I've got a chance to reset my visibility settings. If I decide to make my collection public, anyone in the Gooru community will be able to find my collection, copy it, and customize it for themselves. If I make it shareable, only the people that I share the link with will be able to find my collection. Finally, if I set it to private, that means I'm the only one who will be able to access it. I'll set this to public. There are plenty of options for sharing my collection. In addition to just copying and pasting this URL, there are buttons for emailing and sharing over social media. This concludes the second part of the process, Organize. In this part of the video, I updated the collection information, reordered my resources, and added text narration. If you're following along in your computer, now would be a great time to pause this video and try out these steps. We are almost finished. But let's say that my kids aren't on email. How can I send them my collection? Luckily, there's one more important feature called class pages. Think of a class page as a home page for your class. Click on Teach to access your class pages. You can make a new class page by clicking on plus new class page. I've already made a class page for my life science class, so I'll skip this step. Here's my life science class page. I can make as many class pages as I like, so I could create a new class page for each period or even each group of students. I can post as many collections as I like onto this class page. Let's assign that new cells collection. I'll just select it from this drop-down menu, and now my students will be able to access my collection when they go to this class page. And how do my students access this class page? In one of two ways. First of all, I can give my students this short URL to copy down in their notebooks. Or, I can give them the 7-character class code right here. Both the URL and the class code are unique to my class page and will never change no matter how much I change my class page. So I can have my students copy down this information in their notebooks. The class code can be used either on the front page of Gooru or on the iPad app to access my class page directly. Okay, in just 10 minutes, I've created a beautiful collection of learning materials personalized for my students. Let's review. The first thing that you can do on gurulearning.org is discover great resources and collections. Once we've saved our favorite resources, we can organize them into beautiful, polished lessons. Finally, we can post those collections to a class page when we're ready to teach our students. Now that you've seen what you can do on Gooru, it's time to try it out. Go to gurulearning.org and start preparing your own collection. If at any point you need any help, check back with this video or go to the Support Center by clicking on the gear button in the upper right corner. Thanks, and happy learning!